welcome to It's Realistic I'm Dallas. My name is Yulia Brown, and I am in a very exciting place over here. Let me introduce Dr. Jeff Macy and the managing partner of Affordable Chiropractic, Connie Queen.
Hi.
Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Well, thank you for being on the show, taking your time out of your busy schedule. Let's talk about you guys. What do you guys do, and what is the world of chiropractic?
I'll let the chiropractor talk first.
So traditionally, a lot of people suffer from neck pain, back pain, low back pain, different things of that nature. Sometimes it's significant, sometimes it's moderate, sometimes it's not so bad. Chiropractic will get joints motioning again, get people feeling better, get the curves of the skeleton kind of more recorrected over time. Takes a little bit of time to do it that way. Typically, people will gain back rotation, they'll gain back extension, flexion, things of that nature when you wake up, your neck's kind of stiff, you slept a little funny, I can't quite turn all the way. That's more of a simple case. A more difficult case would be someone who's had neck pain for long term, or we also do car wrecks, things of that nature, falls, things like that. So typically chiropractic will get joints motioning better, get people functioning a little better. They can bend, stretch, twist, flex, it doesn't hurt so bad, things of that nature. So that's kind of the beginning of it, kind of how it starts, trying to get people out of pain and get motion back in the skeleton so they can function. Then when they start doing better and can function a little better, then we can try to figure out, okay, what was going on? What else can we do? How's it going? Are you doing well? Do you need more? Middle? Kind of what's happening.
So let's say it's a young person and they're saying, well, I don't need a chiropractor. I'm perfectly fine. I don't have any pain. When do you think is the best way and the best time for someone to start seeing a specialist of your profile to avoid things like joint deterioration or anything like that?
Sure, so that's a great question. So honest truth, you can start very early. So I have a little bit of scoliosis in my skeleton. My kids have it too, so my son at 1.5 years, I started treating him. He's much straighter than he would be without the intervention, for sure.
Well, scoliosis can be causing a lot of pain in the future.
Oh yeah, so and that's typically congenital. It goes from mom or dad has it or something of that nature, right? The kids have it. So it kind of depends on what you have. Now, let's just say a young kid who doesn't have anything like that. Well, they might not need as much care because they're not uncomfortable, things don't hurt, they don't have a weak side, strong side, things of that nature. So you can start children very early, and typically children very early don't require as much care as a full-grown adult who's maybe had something that's hurt for years in a row, let's just say, right? Typically children have not had that. So, honest truth, if you bring your kids in at least once in a while, it is a whole lot better than never going until you're, say, 20 years old. And now this hurts, and this hurts, and this hurts, and this hurts. And now it's harder to correct some of those things. Versus, like, let's just say, kid's a young athlete, they're a track star, or something of that nature. They tripped over the hurdle. So we fix them up, get their joints motion again, they feel better again, everything feels pretty good. Okay, great news. Versus without having some kind of intervention, without getting any help, those kind of things can get a little worse and a little worse over time. Then you can get hurt another way, and that gets a little worse. Now you got hurt some other way. Now pretty soon you have 3 different things that hurt. And really we need to kind of back up and just help you with that first thing that you had going there and get that working
Especially
out.
with those backpacks nowadays.
Yeah, they're heavy.
Or the laptops. Kids are getting more and more in pain.
Tech snack is one of the worst things.
Oh my Lord, you can say that again. I have a teenager. I tried to lift her backpack. I thought there's another teenager sitting in it. I was like, how in the world do you even carry that? So I totally relate to that.
Exactly. I have teenagers and I'm constantly going like, how do they carry this bag? Even though it's proper, it's still hurting their backs, so they maintain with chiropractic.
Right, and I'm pretty sure the weight that you have that's oppressing all those discs, that cannot be good.
Exactly, but think about it. Kids are not going to use a backpack proper. No matter how much I tell them, use it the right way. They carry it in one arm.
Yep.
And also, I remember growing up in Europe, our backpacks actually had a very hard back to it. So when you put it on, it forces you to keep your back straight. I see a lot of them here that's shaped as a sack. Am I wrong that
No, that's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
that is really affecting them the way they carry that?
Oh, wow. I need to order mine out of...
Yeah, Europe, Japan.
Really?
One of my daughter's friends has the Japanese one because in Asian culture, everybody's very aware of their bodies and they aware of their posture. It's very rare you'll see a person from that part of the world that has crunched back or anything.
Oh, wow. That's exciting to know. Thank you.
I'll be here all day.
Well, and the good thing is about affordable chiropractic that we're really affordable. We really make sure that people are able to afford it with insurance, without insurance, or if you're in an auto accident, there's ways to be able to treat without coming out of pocket.
So tell me about your new patient special.
We're running the exam to x-rays and adjustment for only $37. And we have great family plans. We have great packages with decompression, ultrasound, laser therapy, interferential, and of course the main one, adjustment.
Amazing.
I know.
I saw some of the rolling machines in your place. What are those for?
Those are called interferential traction. Am I saying it right?
Intersegmental
Oh,
traction.
yes.
So between segments.
Cut.
When it rolls by, what happens is it lifts up and it rolls and massages and it tractions open the joints in the skeleton. It rolls by. It's just a nice relieving massage essentially, but also gets a little traction in the joint as well.
Right.
Yeah, because you want to have a little bit of a stretching to relieve that pressure in your back or joints in general.
Right.
That's exquisite.
So we try to do that one before you come and get an adjustment.
And that would make a lot of sense because a lot of times you come and lay down on a chiropractic table and you all, I don't know if my head gonna be pulled, if anything else.
You're on 10 steps.
You are 10 steps. So that really does help, I'm sure.
A lot of people love it.
Very nice. So what inspired you guys to go into this field?
So I actually became a chiropractor escaping carpal tunnel surgery and shoulder surgery. And a real short, easy, I tell this all the time on my social media, but real easy story about it is I have a little curve this way in my skeleton on the top, okay? And you're gonna have two, of course, to stand up straight because nobody can tell. So my lumbar curves the other way. So I went to an orthopedist, I'm from Washington State, I went to an orthopedist who was known as the doctor's doctor when I first hurt the shoulder. I heard it lifting weights, I used to do powerlifting. I also used to be a telephone company lineman. So I needed to use this arm climb telephone pole and hike tools and all this kind of stuff, right?
That's before the headphones were in place, probably, right?
So I went to, the surgeon I went to was known as the doctor's doctor. I'd been going to a chiropractor who was helping it a lot, and it was better, worse, and I wasn't sure. But I was 21 years old, and I had 30 years of work somehow climbing a telephone pole, right? So I go to this guy who's known as the doctor's doctor in town, and I go to him and I say, well, you know, I got this shoulder, and this is what happened, and blah, blah, blah. And he said, okay, show me what you can do. And I showed him what I could do, and I had about 80% of the movement. So he gave me very good advice and said, you're a young person, and it works most of the way. My suggestion is continue rehabilitating it, because if I go in and operate on it, once it's changed, it's changed. Okay, so we took a look at the x-ray. I had no medical training at all. I looked at it, and I saw the curvature. This bone on top is called the acromion bone. It's like a shelf, and it sits above the ball. Okay, and the socket's over here, but sits above the ball. So by having the curve, the shelf, the acromion was almost on top of the ball. Okay, so then I look at the surgeon and I say, well, what would you do with that? He says, here's what I'll do. I'll take a die grinder, I'll scrape the acromion, the shelf bone, underneath to make it thinner so the ball has more room to pass. Okay, so I said to him, what if I went to a chiropractor and made that crooked curve more straight? Then wouldn't the space on this side open up like this side is in the picture? He said, I don't know what a chiropractor does, but you can keep out of here, good news. So I went back, and here it is. So
Wow.
Back in the gym, and overhead press, and flat bench, and all that kind of stuff I like. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not as strong as I used to be, but of course, as we age, nobody is. So that's okay, right? Once we get injured a little bit.
Unless you're a woman, we're
strong.
we become stronger and wiser,
so
maybe.
I went from, not full movement to full movement without problem with strength.
Wow.
And so at that time, I was 21. That was a long time ago. So I haven't needed an orthopedic surgeon since. I had grip strength weakness, carpal tunnel, lots of other things that just went away. So I said, what do you call this again? They go, chiropractor. And I was like, how long was the school? And they said 8 years. And I was like, no, that's okay. And I said that a few times, and eventually I started going to school and went to school at night and worked during the day. And eventually I finished up, and here I am. So that's what I'm doing.
Yay.
Wow, that's such a great story, and
It is.
it's impressive, and hopefully somebody's watching and gets inspired. And
Hopefully so.
because I love from previous experiences, I am not very keen on regular or conventional medicine of what we are taught that's the only medicine in the Western world that's the right one, and everything else is not proven to be the right thing for you. And the more I look into things, the more it makes sense for me to go alternative route than it is to go direct route. And not to discount what medical doctors do, but I'd rather try alternative route before I start slicing and dicing my body and trying to grind on my bones to get myself to where I can be by just putting in a little bit of effort. And I'm sure this
Natural.
was not a lot of comfort trying to rehabilitate yourself, but
It took a little while. It took a little while, but piece of cake. It was the best thing for me because we were looking at trying to straighten a structural curve, right? So for me, going to chiro was the best thing. It depends what you have. What you're describing is starting conservative first and working your way up. You know, right? So chiro, PT, massage, things of that nature. And if those are not panning out, then you might take more aggressive steps depending on the condition. But on the flip side, a good doctor will be able to explain this other step will be good because, and I know that because, you know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
That's the way to go. But you always start conservative first to work your way up. It's just like working on a car. Well, why doesn't it start? Well, let's try jump starting it. Is it going to start? Okay, great, no problems. Moving on, right?
Right.
Still won't start, we'll go to the next thing, we'll go to the next thing, and kind of progress up. So start with easy stuff and progress up.
absolutely, I definitely agree with that. But do you guys do anything outside of your chiropractic world?
So traditionally, I teach anatomy and physiology at Collin College. Traditionally, I haven't been there for a few terms, but traditionally I do that. I've done it for 6 years. I taught a radiology tech program for 1 year. So I also like teaching, super fun. I also build and race drag boats, so that's my other hobby. So I do that for fun too. So
Oh, wow.
drag racing with boats, so that's kind of something
That's
fun on the side I do.
exciting.
Sure.
Living on the edge.
I know.
It's fun. It's super fun. It's got its own Facebook page, all that. Super fun.
Well, we'll definitely would have to have a little link to
Segment
your
on that one.
segment on that.
I've also been to school for a mechanic, and I also have a telecommunications degree.
So now you're a human mechanic.
Now, yeah, very much so.
That's
yeah.
a good way.
You fire up things
very
and
much
make
the
sure
same.
they work.
Yeah.
Because a shoulder is a ball and socket joint, it's like a ball joint in the car. An elbow is like a tie rod end because it pivots one way. So it's very much the same. So mechanically inclined people, I can typically explain very easily what's going on, things of that nature. So good to be able to try and relate different ways. People understand that way.
And also, a lot of people have slightly discomfort, or let's put it like that, they have slightly of a fear of a chiropractor, or not maybe strongly said. What would you advise to people that are afraid to make that first step into your office?
Well, that's the fear of the unknown. And so I understand that. Chiropractic is very safe. If it wasn't, our malpractice would be very expensive, which it is not. It's actually cheaper than any other doc, period. And there's a reason for that. It's because people are not getting hurt, not in excessive levels, and et cetera. So generally, so like the neck is a good one, okay? So when you turn your neck, the joints bottom out, like hitting a wall, okay? And you can't really do this with it. That's really just impossible. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. So really what you're doing is you're restoring motion in the joint, but you're going with the correct joint angle, the way the angle, the way the joint is supposed to go. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. But you can really only do it that way. You can't go against the joint angle, it doesn't turn that way. See what I mean?
Yes.
So you can really only do it correctly and help them, or perhaps you're not that skilled, or they're not that confident in you, or both, and you're not hurting them, but you're typically not helping them as much. That's really kind of the difference. So it's either better or the same. That's been my experience all the years I've been doing this.
So it's really, you do your research and make sure that you do go to the office where you have strong confidence that you are going to be helped.
Exactly, and well explained.
Absolutely.
Very well
Yes.
explained.
I know.
Sure, we do, we have x-ray here, we can do x-ray. So, I can go over people's x-ray, quick and easy. Just kind of give them the ABCs of what's going on and the why this and the why that. People like that tangible kind of evidence, so it's okay. We have that too. So that's another good way of doing. Done a lot of complicated cases too. So, if somebody has something complicated, no problem.
So like a car injury, you guys
Yeah.
specialize in the car injury. Tell me about that.
We do. We actually get help for you. If you come in, you don't know if you have insurance, we go over everything with you. We have great attorneys that we get you in contact with, that they could help you. That way you're zero out of pocket.
Wow.
And a free consultation.
That's impressive.
I know.
And especially when you get in a car accident, you don't know where to go, where to run, who will represent you and who wouldn't. And
Sometimes you need one, sometimes you don't, but we're here to help you guys to make sure that we got you on the right direction without stressing. As it is, being in pain is stressful already. So
I understand. But outside of that rehabilitation side, you guys do something fun in here. Tell me about that.
We do. We actually do massage therapy in-house, and we also do lipotherapy.
So y'all cut on people and take
No,
the fat out?
no, it's laser. I wish I would be in there. No, not really. It's all laser. It's very safe, no downtime. It's easy to do. They could come in just to check us out and see how we could help them get healthier.
And what would be the advised amount of those sessions that you can actually see results?
It says it's two times a week, two to three times a week for 6 to 8 weeks. And we explain the whole process on your first visit. That way you're able to understand with the health, eating, and the process how to.
Also, if I eat a cake a day, I can't accept it. So if you decide not to make any changes in your diet and you still want to do this lipo, you pretty much sending your money into the wind. And
Well, it's not actually going to the wing because we're dealing with changing your inches. So if you're coming in and you're doing this, you'll stay the same. So you won't gain inches, you'll just stay the same. So it's one of those, what do you want? I have a lot of patients that come in just to maintain their figure. And then I have patients that want to change how they look. They want to feel better. They want to get back to that size they used to be. So there's two different people that I have.
And it's dealing mostly with your underskin fat and melts those
Fat cells.
fat cells away,
Yeah.
at
It
least the fat
essentially-
out of those cells.
essentially shrinks the fat cells.
Yes,
That's essentially what it
shrinks
does.
them.
Yeah, because I heard this horrible thing, and I'm sorry that I'm gonna burst most people's bubble.
Yeah.
That you actually do not get rid of your fat cells. Is that right when you lose weight?
You have an infinite number of fat cells. That means some of the procedures that people have, you can gain it back. But some of the idea for some of the procedures people have is they get it under control and keep it under control. That's the idea.
That's the idea. But if you're losing weight, you're doing lipo with a laser. So basically, you have to make that decision for yourself. That's
Right.
where you want to go.
How strong are you?
Because if you're not doing this, you're basically deflating little balloons filled with fat. And until you decide that you want to change your diet, you can keep them deflated or you can inflate them right back up.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That sounds right. The little balloon analogy.
Yeah.
So tell us, what are your ideal clients? Who would you like to come and give you a call and say, hey, Connie or Dr. Macy, I need to do the chiropractic. Where do they start?
Well, all they have to do is call us. Love everybody that wants to come and call. We want to help everybody, as much people as we can. That's something that I love to do. People that are in pain, people without pain, anybody, send their grandma and their grandpa.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. I heard that having some of the compressions in your spine could potentially cause other problems in your body. Is that accurate?
Well, so what happens as we age, so a lot of people call it degenerative joint disease, okay? And to me, that's a little bit of a misnomer. It's not actually a disease. If you're over 20 years old, you're going to have wear and tear, right? We've all done things. We've fallen. We've played sports. Sometimes we get in car wrecks, this, that, and the other, right? So we're all going to have wear and tear as we age. The key is if you're 40 years old, does your skeleton look like you're 40, or better yet, 30, or does it look like you're 80 because you've been injured and this and that has happened? That's the key. So, you're talking about more of like a degeneration type, and that's very common again as we age. And commonly what I see, for example, where our neck is supposed to have a backward C-shaped curve this way, right? And commonly what I see is necks that are more straight or forward, especially from wrecks. They're holding them out here. So what's happening is the ones on the bottom are supporting most of the weight of the head, which is that of like a bowling ball. So the ones on the bottom wear out faster than the rest. It's just like the tires on the car. If they're not aligned up straight, part of the tire will wear out, part of the tire will be brand new. You'll still have to throw it away. See what I mean? So in this case, we can't really throw a disc away, but we want to keep the wear and tear more even-like, because it's going to wear and tear. But the more we can correct the angles, the more even we can make that over time, the better it's going to be. You won't have problem areas just here and not the rest kind of thing.
I understand. Wow, that's
Easy.
a lot of information.
It's easier when people make it.
I understand. Well, that's awesome. So what do you guys do for fun? Let's get to know Connie and let's get to know Jeff. What do you guys do for fun?
Well, I'm always at the lake, Harbor Lake. I love my kids. We do a lot with our kids, have lots of friends and family. So we're always out and about somewhere.
Nice. Lake Harbor is absolutely
I know, I
gorgeous
love
lake.
it. Yeah, I love that lake.
Nice.
Yeah.
What about you, Dr. Macy?
So I have 3 kids, a year and a half, 7, and soon to be 9 this week. So I definitely stay busy doing that because, you know, we live for our kids when we have them, right? That's our
Yes.
choice, of course, right? I mean, you got to take care of them. So definitely busy doing that. You know, them and their mom too. You know, we all live together. I also, you know, I teach a lot of the time. Again, not lately, but most of the time I teach a couple nights a week late at night. I also do drag boat racing. I have a drag boat called Kitty Crusher Turbo Drag Boat, super fun. So I'm also a mechanic, so I do stuff like that for fun too. So that's kind of my fun hobby on top of the fam.
Well, that's wonderful.
And I'm always with my lovely husband over there.
We definitely will have to insert.
I know.
With the awesome hair.
I know. Yeah.
Well, let's say, is there any question that I have not asked, but you would love to mention?
share.
Yes.
Decompression.
Decom-
That's something that we have here.
Yes,
That's
we do.
awesome.
I think you said something about decompression.
That's one of the therapies you're able to get with the plan. So we have it affordable. It's very easy to come in, get an exam, and see if you qualify. Most people, if they're having numbness, tingling down their arms or legs.
So I heard that you guys also have this therapy. Is it decompression therapy? Could you please elaborate on that and how it works?
Sure, decompression is real simple like, okay? So a lot of people suffer from disc bulges. In fact, probably everybody here has one, for sure. Whether it's hurting all of us or not is another matter. But I bet money, if everybody in here took an MRI, everybody would have one, for sure, maybe 2. So commonly what the decompression does, it'll strap you on the top, strap you in here at the bottom. You'll lay on the bed either face down or face up. It will traction it open. The idea is to draw the disc bulge back because you have to unload it to get it to draw back. If it's loaded this way, not so much because you're loading it and it's pushing out, right? So if I unload it and take all the stress and gravity off of it, it can potentially reduce itself. The term is reduce. So that's the idea behind it. Decompression is great. I only tell people to do stuff that I do, and I do decompression. I do all the stuff that we do here. So it works really well. It's for neck or lumbar. The older an injury is, the harder it is to correct, the longer it can take. If it's relatively recent, ideally you can correct it maybe a little sooner. That's kind of how those go. But it's traditionally what it's for is for a disc bulge, also just great for joint traction in itself.
So the disc bulge, is that similar to herniated disc or is it something different?
Correct. No, that's just a name. There's several different names, disc bulge, herniated disc, sequester. There's different names for the same thing. They all mean the same thing. There's different methods of it. You can have a bulge just on one side, which means it can always just affect your right leg or just your left leg. Or you can have one in the middle, and today this side hurts, and today this side hurts. Those are a little worse. A disc bulge essentially can hit the spinal cord as it goes back. So, you know, really the key is to try to figure out the significance of that. And I understand what pain management does, and orthopedics do very well, and we're very well versed in that, and we know lots of people that work in DFW who do that kind of work. So typically what I try to do with those, you know, we put them on decomp, and if we can relieve signs and symptoms and gain back strength, great news. You know, it's one of those conservative methods to try. Worst case scenario, they feel the same.
So if people start mentioning something like a bulge or herniated disc, when it comes and pertains to your back, you definitely want to run for this therapy to avoid any surgical involvement.
Definitely. It's worth a shot. And again, with the conservative therapies first, you know, and the orthopedic surgeon will tell you the same thing. There's enough people for them to see. If you know, much like my own, if you can do therapy and get relief and you're doing good, great news. They have lots of people who need them already. It's not like a shortage, right? But you always want to start that way, conservative, and work it up. A lot of time people do great with decompression. We've had lots of people walk out much, much straighter that came in, you know, kind of bent and kind of turned. And so it works really well. Again, I use it myself, and I only tell people to do stuff that I do on my own.
I use it for my neck.
Yep.
Headaches.
So you can cure your headache and potentially give a relief to your migraine with this therapy as well.
It can.
It does help.
Decomp and chiro both are great for headaches. Great for that. That's very common. People can read about it. People can read about decompression. It's all over the web. Very common. Very common. Works great.
Well, We've learned quite a bit today with Dr. Jeff Macy and the managing partner of Affordable Chiropractic, Connie Queen.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here and giving us all this information. And as always, please don't forget to like, subscribe, share this information with your loved ones. So who knows, you might be preventing another back surgery today.
Bye.